Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which takes place every October and now in its 19th year, is a collaboration between government and private industry to raise awareness about digital security and empower everyone to protect their personal data from digital forms of crime. Todd Ewasko, who's the Chief Product Officer of Netwitness, joins me to discuss challenges for security teams with a remote workforce. Todd, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill. My name is Todd Ewasko. I'm obviously Chief Product Officer here at Netwitness. Come to you with 15 years of product experience and software development experience in the cybersecurity space. Ultimately looking to deliver innovative market solutions to clients and solve real business problems. Currently leading Netwitness as, again, the Chief Product Officer, overseeing product management, advanced development. I'm responsible for the product vision and strategy. We deliver industry-leading threat detection and response solutions in this space already, and we help navigate organizations navigate the changes and the threat landscape that we've been watching.
And Ted, let's talk about some overarching trends within the cybersecurity space. What is the current state of cybersecurity for organizations given the new hybrid and remote workforce?
Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up. As the dynamic had changed, but the pandemic was the major driver for that. Most organizations in IT worked together with security, but when that flipped, a lot of organizations were trying to catch up with just enabling their workforce so they can do business on a regular basis. It was a slow trend that was advanced very quickly. So there were technologies that were new in that space. So that's created, security refers to the landscape and the areas that they have to defend from a security standpoint as the perimeter. Well, that perimeter was just destroyed with the hybrid work solutions, because now obviously your workforce can be on their own device. Bring your own device has become pretty popular in the market, as well as connecting from any location. We don't have the advantage on a remote workforce to say you've swiped your card and come into the office that day. So removing that layer of security, a lot of new kind of technologies had to be ushered in very quickly, when the normal process takes months and months as IT, which enables the marketplace on making that workforce work well, and the security side identifying areas that they need to increase their visibility or integrate with some of the technologies that come into that market.
It's a great point that you bring up, Todd, because I think sometimes we lump the security team under the umbrella of IT, but I'm glad you made that distinction between IT and security and how the different teams act separate and together from each other. So what has changed in the tools and technologies in this dynamic, and what has changed with bad actor attacks?
Great question. So as we look at what technology, how do we do this, right? If you think from an IT perspective, you blow down the perimeter, and now you basically have to set up a system, a separate network, and enable a lot of controls, assuming that this is a bad actor coming in, but still enable that workforce. So that's where IT and security departments had to work together. And there's a technology called SASE that kind of came onto the market. That technology, which is Secure Access Server Service Edge, which is its own network where you are able to minimize the impact to your users by still enabling them access to the system, but having a layer of abstraction between your main core networks. So what a lot of the organizations have done with the tool sets is they started to segregate remote work from on-premise work, or if that on-premise is still in the cloud. As a lot of organizations during this process rapidly adapted cloud technologies without really working with the security team as well as they have in the past. They couldn't. The time period to get from point A to point B became, you had to make some, trade-offs in that space. And there's some interesting kind of areas that this kind of forced the security team, because SASE is there's a heavy encryption. There's a lot of information removed from that. So now the visibility had started to decrease. So in organizations like Netwitness, as a security company, we want to provide as much visibility to our clients so that they can do what's called baselining. Baselining is a technique to say, this is what's normal in our network. So baselining went from an internal network thing to starting to go to users. So what is a normal user activity? Are they plugging in USB drives? Are they downloading stuff? Those are all activities that you can essentially track over time to understand is this the same person? Did they have a bunch of failed logins to certain areas? So somebody's trying to hack in, right? So that where that threat actor has changed is to the endpoint rather than being on the network and compromising, main servers and systems. And, just kind of talk a little bit on the bad actor side. We continue to see this incredible investment in nation state. And, these are very sophisticated attacks. Sometimes when you have large teams, just like we do from a software development standpoint and IR response standpoint, we have large teams that work together for an overall goal. I mean, think about that from on the bad guy side when you talk about nation states investment in this area. On a lot of the security side, just as an advice point in the attackers, is it's still common techniques that are used at that endpoint because they're targeting the user, trying to get information out of them. And some of those are called telephone-oriented attacks or phishing, where they're trying to get that user essentially remove all of the security and just give them the credentials or access to assets on the organization.
All right. Well, Todd, to wrap up here, what advice do you have for security teams that now have a remote and hybrid workforce with the new challenges that you were just discussing as we face the year ahead?
I think the most important thing is to work through the trade-offs that come with IT and security, because IT, as I said, is the enabler of the organization, and security is working through defending the organization's impact and IP. If you are able to integrate those two solutions, integrations that's very key, and provide visibility to the security organization to be able to baseline and understand, what is normal traffic activity, understand those impacts on the overall organization, and obviously assess the risk accordingly.
All right. We appreciate the insight, Todd. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jill.